thank you for coming and watching this tutorial. I'm going to show you how to make a hand print bunch of carrots in a little garden. So what you need for this is a half of a paper plate, just a paper plate cut in half, and some brown construction paper, just a scrap, some green construction paper, and some orange construction paper. So you need the most from the orange because you're going to have your kids trace their hand. So just get enough for them to trace their hand on the orange. And of course you need a glue stick and some safety scissors. So the first thing I'm going to do is fold this in half, because if you have little hands, it can fit on this half like that, and then you can get multiple bunches of carrots out of it. So I'm just going to pretend that my hand is just small enough for here. So I'm just going to trace around my hand here. I'm just going to do it like that. And then I want to go ahead and cut this out. You don't have to do it perfectly because we can always turn the fingers over, and we're going to have some tops of the carrots that's going to cover this, so it doesn't need to be perfect at all. Just get the general idea of the fingers. It's a little bit easier to use adult scissors if you're an adult, but here we go. So now I've got 2 bunches of carrots. So I'm just going to need 1 for right now. If I turn it over, so these are my carrots that are sticking out of the ground. They're growing, and they're just about ready to be picked. So what I'm going to do is put this on the back of my ground. This is my garden area. This is my garden where I'm growing my carrots. So now I'm gonna fill this in with some brown scrap paper. If you have some tissue paper, you could also use some brown tissue paper to fill this in as well. If you don't want to use scissors and cutting and all that, you could just use a brown crayon or brown marker. Another fun thing for kids to do is to not only cut it, but to actually rip it, so they can get that kind of hand-eye coordination there by ripping it. Or if you want to practice cutting, you can go ahead and practice your cutting as well. So you can do the combination of ways too. So you just want to cut little strips out of your brown paper or rip strips out of it, and then cut them into smaller pieces so they're more manageable. This off to the side there. Okay, and then I want to start gluing them on to my paper plate here. So that's going to be my dirt, where my carrots are growing in the garden. So I'm going to get a nice layer of glue all over there. Definitely a lot of glue. Okay, and that's where I'm going to start putting all of my paper. You can overlap it. Like I said, you can have them rip it instead of cutting it, so then you can get a combination. If you've got those decorative scissors that have, like a scalloped edge or anything like that, you can use decorative scissors as well. So the idea we're going for is we're just covering it. We're just making this look like some dirt. Just covering all of my little spots here. And if you don't want you gotta work kind of fast if you don't want the glue to dry. So it might, for little ones, it might be better to work, in smaller patches of area, or if you can help put the glue on and then they can put the paper on You know, there's a few different ways you can do it. You just want to make sure that your glue doesn't dry before you stick it down there. See, we've got a little area there that already has dried. So I'll put some extra, cover that up. And I got some areas over here I want to cover. Just get it all nice and covered with your paper. I've got one little spot. I've got some extra paper, so I will just use that. There we go. So that is the dirt. So now I want to make the top for my carrot bunches. So I'm going to take my green paper and just some scrap paper. I'm going to fold it into, you know, into 4 sections here. So when I cut out, it'll actually make multiple green parts. This might be a little bit more difficult for little ones. You might have to help them since the paper is thicker. So I just cut kind of a triangle shape and then snip the ends. So these are the green tops for my carrots. So it only made 4, of course. So I got 1 more to do. All right, so the tops of my carrots are done. So I want to take my glue stick and I want to glue on the very tips of my carrots. And I'm going to glue my the carrot top, the green part of the carrot that you pull it out of the ground with. Okay, so there you have it. There are a bunch of carrots that you've grown in your garden that's coming out of the ground. One last thing that you could do is to decorate your ground here is to make a worm. You can draw a worm on a piece of paper. Get a worm kind of shape here, general shape, and just cut out You don't have to add a worm, but it is kind of nice to see worms in your garden. There we go. Turn it over to this side. And I know I'm going to give him a little smiley face. And worms have those little lines on them. All right. So I'm going to turn him over, put some more glue on the back, and add my worm to my garden with my carrots. There you go. So this is a nice little fun craft to enjoy while you read the story called Too Many Carrots.